The think tank Senlis said some insurgents weren't driven by ideology, but by these legitimate grievances. Civilian deaths and injuries caused by widespread NATO bombing. The coalition campaign against poppy fields, a common source of income. Hunger and poverty caused by fighting, but also floods and drought. And a combination of unemployment and poor local schools and hospitals.
Those are the kinds of problems the U.S., Britain and the Karzai government are trying to finally solve, trying to win once and for all in Afghanistan. Back to you.
Joining me now is Norine MacDonald of the Security and Development Policy Group, the Senlis Council, just to give us an update on the situation and to tell us what's in your report. Just initially, I want to start off by asking you about the positive gloss that seems to be being put on the operations, on Western operations in Afghanistan. Do you think that really is the case?
Well, certainly the military in southern Afghanistan are doing an excellent job in extremely difficult circumstances. But what our research on the ground has found and what our report has concluded is that, in fact, our own policies in southern Afghanistan are making it easier for the Taliban to recruit there.
So you're making a series of recommendations, aren't you, in this report? What are the main points there?
Well, most importantly at the moment, in southern Afghanistan, the United States and the UK are leading a very aggressive poppy crop eradication campaign. And that's turning the poorest farmers against us. It's leaving them with no way to feed their families. That's making it very easy for the Taliban to recruit. What we've called for is the immediate cessation of the eradication campaign and to allow the farmers to grow the opium crop for the medicines morphine and codeine. There's a global shortage of morphine and codeine, and we've said that that should be permitted to allow them to earn a legal income.
But do you think there's likely to be an uptake of that particular recommendation? It seems that it would be probably quite unpopular.
But at the moment we're seeing that the eradication policies are actually fueling the insurgency. We've had a lot of fighting in southern Afghanistan. Karzai's government's losing control there. We're hearing reports that there'll be a massive spring offensive. We have to act immediately to get the local support back, to give the military a positive environment to fight in. It's quite urgent.
Now, we're talking about Britain increasing its military presence in southern Afghanistan by around 800 troops in the summer. Do you think that's going to be enough to help control the situation there?
Well, certainly it's very important that we increase the number of troops in southern Afghanistan because we've had such a difficult time despite very valiant fighting in the last year. Most of the NATO countries really need to contribute more. It's a very important period of time, the upcoming spring, and we've really got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support the military.
Do you think there's, in a way, they're misguided operations in so much as we're pouring in more military effort, but actually what needs to happen is a change in thinking and a change in policy to try and change the situation in Afghanistan?
Well, we need both. We need more military because without sufficient ground troops, what we end up is bombing campaigns, which also turns the civilians against us. So we need more troops, and we also need to fundamentally change this counter-narcotics policy. We need to put more food aid in there. We saw a lot of starvation, starving babies, starving elderly. They really need food aid. We're spending billions on a military effort, and with a small amount of that, we could really be reaching out to the locals and allowing them to feed their families.
Do you think it's also a problem that, in a sense, Afghanistan has become the forgotten corner? Attention is very much focused on the unfolding situation in Iraq, and Afghanistan just gets pushed to one side in public attention.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and the people in Afghanistan know that as well. I mean, they really believed us when we all went there after 9/11, that we were there to help them rebuild their country, to make a durable peace, and they really feel neglected. And you can really understand when you're talking to them and they say, we thought that you would be helping us rebuild the country, and they're seeing nothing, and they're literally unable to feed their families. That's really fueling a lot of resentment against the international community there.
So in that sense, it's a failure and responsibility on the part of the international community.
Absolutely. From the point of view of the political development and aid side and the counter-narcotics strategy, we're not only failing, we're actually fueling the insurgency. The military doing the best they can in very difficult circumstances, and we're not providing them with proper support.
Okay, Norine MacDonald, thank you very much for joining us today and talking about the situation there.
US President George W. Bush says he has no doubt the presence of sophisticated armor-piercing weapons in